And there is no way, as long as I'm living, that my children are going to be injected with that.
During this time, one of the most important and urgent things that our scientists are looking for is a way to vaccinate against the COVID-19 virus. COVID-19 has been affecting and killing many hundreds of thousands of people throughout the world, and we need to figure out a way to make sure that we can get all the necessary precautions in order to get our lives back on track. However, if we are ever going to find a vaccine within the next year, one of the biggest questions for many people: are you going to get vaccinated? Now, there is something called the Anti-Vax Movement that will most likely try to take on the COVID-19 vaccine should it become available. This movement hasn't just come up recently, it's actually been around for quite some time now, and was started on a debunked claim that vaccines can lead to multiple issues. Now, in a podcast I did a year ago, I was able to touch upon this topic with my friend Pandora, and here she explains what the Anti-Vax Movement actually is and how it started.
Well, anti-vax actually means to be against any kind of vaccination that prevents diseases, such as chickenpox and measles. The group of people known as anti-vaxxers are people that are dead set against immunizing themselves and their children. Effectiveness of vaccines actually can't be proven on an individual basis, so anti-vaxxers are skeptical about the effectiveness of vaccines, and they argue that even those who have been vaccinated can still catch the diseases they were vaccinated against. They do have a point here, since there is a chance for people that have been vaccinated to catch a different virus strain than the one they were inoculated against. It's the issue that forces people to doubt the usefulness of vaccines. For them, if it's possible to still catch a disease with or without vaccination, then what's the point? Then again, getting vaccinated lessens the chances of getting a disease in the first place. If someone does get the symptoms associated with the disease they were vaccinated against, they will be less severe and the chances of survival are much higher. Vaccines can cause serious and sometimes fatal side effects. According to the Center for Disease Control in the US, all vaccines carry a risk of life-threatening allergic reaction, or anaphylaxis, in about 1 per million children. Long-term seizures, coma, lowered consciousness, and permanent brain damage may be associated with some of these diseases.
Now, while these are some of the effects of getting a vaccine, it doesn't mean that this will always happen. Everyone is different, and when it comes to how vaccines will affect you, we must understand that the point of vaccinating yourself is firstly to protect yourself. If you believe that these vaccines are created on purpose to harm you, well, that's just simply not true. As Pandora pointed out, we must realize that vaccinating against these diseases will actually save your life or will heavily decrease the chances of you getting the virus that the vaccine is fighting against. Now, people have to realize that the idea of herd immunity as well is not always the best way to fight a virus, especially in this case, the coronavirus. Now, in an interview done with NBC News, epidemiologist Beata Kampmann discusses how herd immunity works and how it might not be the most effective way to battle COVID-19.
We know from the coronavirus, if you do nothing, every single person who's got COVID probably infects another 2 or 3 people. That's the rough number that we're working with. So the community immunity would have to be between 60 and 70% to make sure that those who haven't had the vaccine are also benefiting from the vaccination.
We've even seen that celebrities, for example, Jenny McCarthy a couple years ago, come out and make stands against vaccines.
Without a doubt in my mind, I believe vaccinations triggered Evan's autism.
Yes. Parent after parent says, I vaccinated my baby, they got a fever, and then they stopped speaking and then became autistic.
This era will be marked as a time in history when a group of parents fought the giants to help save their babies and future generations.
Now, one of the ways that scientists are trying to combat COVID-19 is by creating a new kind of vaccine that will rewrite the genetic code of the virus. NBC explains how this works.
Here's what makes this unique. The vaccine carries the genetic code known as messenger RNA that instructs the cells to make the proteins associated with the coronavirus, but without making someone sick. The hope is that the immune system then kicks in to create the antibodies to fight off COVID-19. And Pfizer has 4 genetic vaccine candidates. Dr. Mark Mulligan is running the NYU trial.
It really is a natural thing because this messenger RNA is something the body produces on its own normally. So it's kind of a new thing, but it's really not anything that's too different than what the body does for itself.
COVID-19 is hitting the world hard, and as we can see, thousands of Americans are dying each week because of the lack of care of their people and a lack of leadership they have. So while we wait to see if a vaccine will come about, it is only in our best interest to look out for one another, sanitize your hands, stay 6 feet apart, and most importantly, wear a face mask to keep yourself and everyone around you safe. So the question must be asked:
Do you believe that vaccinations are something that should be mandatory for our society to be safer and healthier?
Or do you believe that vaccines are something that we should be afraid of? Now, if you want us to break anything down, make sure to subscribe and comment below. For Breaking News Broken Down, I'm David Augustine. We'll see you next time.